I am a Boer-Bean. I've been given many names in my life, Scotia. Brachypetala, African walnut, but I call myself Boer-Bean. I live in this corner of the bushveld. Since I blew here as a seed. As a sapling, years of my life passed without much change, until one day. I'd seen many animals pass by my branches, but it was not until the year 1831 that man decided to stay. At first, the pattern followed the other species I've borne witness to, but soon they began to change everything. Trees give their branches for birds to nest, their pollen for bees to spread, their leaves for food, but the humans wanted more. And they wanted it fast. They lit fire to the hills that surrounded my valley. As the flames raged, I watched as it consumed my home. As the wind blew, it carried the flames closer and closer to me. I bid my last goodbyes to the bush, and then it stopped. The fire finally died, taking with it many of the inhabitants of my surroundings. The bush changed overnight. A new animal, not native to this land, took over and lived in the fences made by the humans. Life continued for many years, but nothing was like before. However, slowly I noticed the cows began to disappear. I did not expect what came next. An impala returned. I almost could not remember the name. It had been over 120 years since I last watched them pass. And then, more impala came, and they were not the only ones. The animals were being restored to their home, and my home began to return to the way it had looked when I first pushed through the dirt and caught a glimpse of the small corner of the bush where I would plant my roots. This homecoming brought me peace. One day, after years of calm with the returned animals, it all changed again. The kings that had been slaughtered returned to the shade cast by my branches. Their return brought me joy, which is something I cannot say for the other inhabitants, but their return restored the natural order to the bush. Humans and packs came to view their former foe. Though alarmed at first, their habits were very different than before. They celebrated animals and allowed them to live their natural lives. Life passed quite pastorally, and I felt like a young sprout again. As the lions prospered and grew, my life was about to take another turn. Elephants came, but the humans restored them to this land. These enormous creatures live most of their day in the deep bush, but in the afternoon they venture into the open, where I laid my roots. The people enjoy their curiosity and size, but my life once again was in danger. These massive creatures eat plants. Lots of plants. Their family structure means that many live close together, and they teach their young a love for plants as well. Each afternoon they pushed out from the bush into the valley, and each afternoon I quivered in fear. I happily share myself with many creatures. Insects, birds, and even some large individuals use me for food. I can part with a few leaves. But elephants destroy. I watched as they rip limbs off neighboring trees and use them for toys. One afternoon, it was my turn. The huge creatures thumped towards me, and I bid goodbye to my home. I watched my family mutilated in the short time since the elephant's arrival, and now it was my turn to live this similar fate. Shadows of my fallen family haunted the bush, their limbs torn off to leave exposed dead trunks. As the last few minutes of my life passed me by, I watched as the elephants stop at the tree before me and begin their mutilation. However, on this day help came from an unlikely source, the very thing I have feared since the sapling would be my savior. Humans placed boxes of bees beneath my limbs. As they did, the great giants retreated. The elephants feared the stinging insects. I was safe. I fluttered to the spot more than a century ago. My view has changed many times. However, now as I look around me, I see something akin to what my ancestors looked at, and it is all protected by the one thing I feared the most. I hope the seeds I carry, the future, will share my good fortune. Hectic.